Praise God.
Amen.
So you've heard, I'm called Mama Bima
Yes.
because I'm all things insurance. And the person who connected me to the star of the day is the lovely Mwehaki. So I'll tell you, in my business, I really, like my success and the way my business has taken off, it's because of young girls. I'm able to connect with young girls. You know, I have like so many girls who are so like invested in helping me spread, you know, like what I do. And Mwehaki, I connected with Mwehaki first, and she introduced me to their company where I do give insurance services. And one of the things that I do as Mama Bima is I also give free consultations. You get on money matters. If you want to get your money matters in order, okay, we can sit down, do a 30 minutes maybe needs analysis, and from there, with Barbara, she saw the need to actually talk through her finances, okay? And with time, I realized this girl was a gem. You get? So you can imagine the life of an insurance agent. You start very early, especially when you're building a small business, start very early and very late, right? And with time, I would find Barbara as such a rich girl. You get it? She loved God. She was this calm force. She introduced me to her podcast. How many of us are subscribed to the Man of the Word? And anytime I'd be feeling like overwhelmed, that was my go-to. Like Barbara knows, like anytime she has a new episode, she needs to send me a link. You get? And so when Barbara told me about the books, okay, we had coffee, and I was really blown. You know, going into a genre like children's literature and Christian children's literature. That was so mind-blowing and such an honor to actually come here today and talk about kids and books. Because I'm a testimony of what books can do to a child's life. I grew up in Muranga, in Kandara, a village called Kafuruge. Have you ever heard of anyone who's ever heard of Naro Kafuruge? I'm sure some guys here. I think my home is so remote, like Hatukombali, like it's just a few meters from Thika town. But I always find Hakuna Mtuata who knows we exist. And I grew up in like a very, very poor background. Okay? But the one thing about Siko, I used to be very small, so I was called Shiko Dogo Dogo. I'm a Siko Dogo Dogo. You get Dogo Dogo, like a small one. I loved books. I love books. I was the first child, like in our village, to go to like Alliance, and that was so mind blowing. You get? I was like in Kikuyu, what we call Itora. You know, in a place where kids don't go to university, don't do. You know. I managed to go to the University of Nairobi to do a BA degree, and for me it was so natural because I loved books, but I love reading. It was so natural to pick literature. Okay? And throughout my 4 years in college, we did everything you can imagine, from African literature to Russian literature, and I loved, you could just tell, I was always the first one in class. I was always the one who would never miss a class. I was the class rep. You know, the one who even sits there next to the lecturer. Because you can imagine, literature classes in college, we have very few students. You get, like in our class when we started off, we were, in first year, we were about 18. By the time we got to third year and we were specializing, we were only a class of 10. Okay? And my love for books saw me graduate with that first class honors, because it's one of those things I had told myself from the word go I would do. That love for books is possibly what saw me that, you remember that girl from Kafuruge, who probably, she only saw aeroplanes in the sky, right? So you graduate top of your class, and what does the school decide? Go to Japan for a one-year exchange program. Can you imagine me seated in that big aeroplane for the very first time? So first you're going to Dubai, then now from Dubai to Tokyo, right? And when the plane took off, you guys, I cried. Like it felt, I think that was the most exhilarating feeling that I had ever felt. Do you get? And yes, everyone, at that point, everyone, my lecturers, everyone knew I was going to be a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, Department of Literature, but as life happens with time, I found myself doing what? Selling insurance. No, first I went through like the bank and everything, and eventually I started my own business with my husband. Along the way, I got married to an insurance agent. And I saw the opportunity in actually building that business. But even when you look at Mama Bima, I'm now firmly into this business for 3 years. And most people who either know me or follow me on social media, they think I've been doing this for decades. How is it that someone who's only 3 years into the business actually looks like a guru? Reading. Do you get it? I actually remember when I was doing my certification for insurance, it's called COP, Certificate of Proficiency, and it was at the height pretty much of COVID, and at the time my husband was actually unwell, COVID, my nanny was unwell, so I was taking care of like 2 people at home who are unwell, and my little daughter, so as we were like quarantined, like in one section of the home, and then the others were in separate bedrooms. But late at night, I would read so hard because I had told myself, I am getting a distinction. I'm not just going to pass COP, so it's called COP. I'm going to get distinction in both papers. And even beyond that certification, how maybe you're able to see Charlene is well conversant with, let's say, general insurance, with life insurance, with medical insurance. It's really just how much I read. And I know when we are here today to celebrate the launch of the books and to celebrate Barbara for this milestone, when I look back, I really do credit my dad for inculcating a reading culture in me. I remember the very first book I ever read to completion was Luanda Magere, and this was in class 2, and so class one in primary school, I had really struggled because my dad also wanted to get us like a really quality education, so we would go to school in Thika, a school called Gatumaini Primary School, so we commute from the village, to Thika town, and so class 1, you can imagine I was floating because I came in as a child who knew 0 English, 0 Swahili. So I was just trying to catch up, learn the language, but by class 2, now this child could actually hold that book when her brother was even in Form 4, akiamka kusomea KCSE, nani pia ameamka naye, I'm also there. You get? Even if you are using Kanitera at home, who knows Kanitera? Some look too young, they don't know what steel lamps are. You get? You are there with your Luanda Magere trying to read, just slowly, But anyway, let's get back to it. Really, Barbara, what you are doing. I purchased my first set of books about 2 weeks ago. And yes, my mom took them now for my niece. So I'm happy today I'll get to actually take another copy of each book now for my daughter. She's still quite young, but in today's age where our young children, what's competing for their attention? The internet, YouTube, yes? Oh, the phone, right? So if they're very young, it's like Nakokomelon and all, Peppa Pig and the likes. So to even spend those 15 minutes, 20 minutes, possibly in the evening with your child, you guys, tumepewa Mwakenya. We have a Mwakenya. Have you looked at the intercessor child? I mean, Barbara, I know you wrote this for the children, but I think it's also for us as parents, because Barbara is even teaching us how to pray. How important is that? Possibly some of us, you sit down, you close your eyes, you try pray, and if you feel sometimes you're tongue-tied, finally, here we go. Forget. I mean, even as our children learn to pray, we will also be learning how to pray. You are bringing us actually closer to God. When the other title, please tell me what's Knowing God. Have you guys just perused through? Have you seen the activities, the puzzles? Isn't that what we loved about books when we were younger? The pictures that are speaking to you. Okay? So Barbara, what you have actually given to us, even as parents, and for our children, God is using you to actually bring him closer to him. And for us, and you are writing across generations. Okay? Because if you look at what you learned when you were so young, okay, the things that you learned when you were young, you still carry them to date. So it's important that we actually get these books and we actually do the exercises with our children, okay? Then we'll actually get to know God, so that knowing God is not just about Sunday school. This can complement Sunday school, right? So it's not just about maybe what we do on Sunday. And in case you do not have maybe a sort of like a formal way of doing it at home now, we finally have something to get us started. So the pressure is on you, Barbara, possibly, because if maybe we have exercises to last us for how many months? Okay, until they open. So maybe we should be having another launch, right? For maybe a knowing God that can go even for 365 days, with daily exercises, right? But yes, Barbara, it's truly an honor, and I'm so proud of you, so happy to everyone who stand up today. And now on my sales side, please, as we get the books today, as we take photos with the star of the day, please remember, go onto your social media. The impact, by the way, that social media has. Post something. Post the book. Post the girl of the day. Say something and even maybe if you need to wait and do a few exercises with your child, post the impact that is having on you. We need to spread the word.